Our next guest is from McLaren Applied Technologies, Automotive Director Tim Strafford.
Hello. You may know a little bit about McLaren already. You probably know about our road cars, our supercars that we produce in this facility here. You may know about our Formula One cars. I'm here today from McLaren Applied Technologies, where we provide technology solutions to enhance our world. This is our facility based in Woking, England, not far from London Heathrow Airport. And I'm going to talk a little bit, first of all, before I move on to the next slide, to talk about what Formula One is all about. So, Formula One is a motor race, but it's not just about having the fastest car. It's about adapting quickly. It's about developing quickly. It's about innovating quickly. So when we have regulation changes, those that triumph will be those that are able to adapt their car the quickest. When new technologies come in, it's those that are able to integrate those new technologies into the car that will triumph. So in our 50 years of Formula One motor racing, we've applied a lot of new processes, technologies, and methods in order to quickly evolve to the optimal solution. That's what we're all about. And we're doing that in motorsport, we're doing it in road cars, but we're also doing it in other markets such as public transportation and healthcare as well. And I'm going to talk through some examples as we go through. So this is our mobility device. It's 2016 F1 car, 0 to 125 miles per hour in less than 5 seconds. And it's got a V6, only a 1.6 litre engine in it. It's got an energy recovery system that enables this car to consume 30% less fuel in a race than the predecessor that had a V8 naturally aspirated engine. So Formula One is moving in the direction of cleaner and less fuel, more efficient. So I'm going to talk a little about the car. So it's got a very advanced powertrain, the energy recovery system. It's got a very advanced gearbox control system, which relies on actually engaging 2 gears at the same time momentarily when it's shifting. In order to do that, we've got to have a very, very advanced control system. I'm going to talk a little bit about the control system. At the heart of this car is a control system that's had 25 years of evolution. And what we're trying to do in Formula One is evolve towards the lowest weight, the highest tech solution to get the job done. And what we've evolved to in Formula One is a solution which has a central control unit, which is about this size. And we actually supply not just McLaren Formula One with their control system, but every single Formula One car that's running today. This control system, this centralized unit, is controlling the engine, the gearbox, the differential. In fact, when the driver is driving this car, pretty much everything the driver does is commanded by wire and controlled through this ECU. So one centralized control system. Let's contrast that with today's road cars. A luxury sedan is likely to have well in excess of 100 electronic modules on it. And one of the reasons for that is because of the vertically aligned supply chain structure that we have in automotive. We've just got used to it. What does that mean? What it means is that we choose an engine and it comes with a controller. We choose a gearbox, it comes with a controller. Before we know it, we've got a seat and it comes with a controller. You stack them up, they probably come to about this high. All these controllers, we've got to find a space on the car to put them. And they all add to the weight on the vehicle as well. Go back to the Formula One car. The optimal solution, we've learned, is a single controller at the center of the car. And so this is some of the thinking that we're now applying into the road car environment. We're taking that philosophy to make a more optimal solution in a road car. And it's not just about the way that the architecture works in the car. It's about being able to rapidly develop. So imagine you think of a new feature that you want to put on the vehicle tomorrow. All these different modules, and you need to find a way of getting some information from over here across to here on the car in order to be able to add this new feature to the car. You've got to work with this vendor and get the architecture working together. When you centralize all of that, it becomes possible to add that new feature without actually putting too much effort into managing your supply chain and working with all your vendors. And so we're applying just this technology into McLaren road cars. We've got single modules on McLaren's road cars that are running multiple control functions, from gearbox control through to active damping control, even the air brake on the rear wing. So that's just an example of how Formula One is providing a real benefit in the real world, but in an automotive environment. So now something a little bit different. So that centralized control unit on the Formula One car, it's a control unit, but it's also a data system. And the data system is collecting lots and lots of information on the car all the time. And it's streaming some of that data back to the garage. And those guys who are watching the data come in the garage, it's so quick, they're actually seeing a gear change in the data before they hear the car change gear on the track. It's faster than the speed of sound. It's all about the real-time data. This environment, we're applying the technology into a hospital. This is a new one of a kind. It's never been done before. And we're doing it in a children's hospital, an intensive care ward. Now, the environment is one in which we've got babies that are critically ill, and we've got nurses checking on the babies on a regular basis, maybe every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, checking their vital signs, looking for anything going into a deteriorating condition. But what about that time in between those data points? What happens if something takes place in that period? What do you do? Well, you miss it. So the first thing here is to monitor in real time. But that's only part of the solution. No point in monitoring real time if you've then got to rely on somebody just sitting there and watching the data. So then you need an algorithm to watch what's happening. You're watching the heartbeat, you're watching the breathing rate, you're watching many different parameters of the patient. And you need an algorithm to snap a decision to say, there's something going wrong here, there's a deteriorating condition taking place. But babies are different. And an algorithm that works with one baby won't work with another. And so that's where we've applied self-adapting algorithms in order to learn what is normal for one baby and apply a test to say, okay, yeah, I know what's normal for this one now. And I'll spot if something goes in a deteriorating condition. So that's a hospital example. Next example is a busy airport. So different again, non-automotive. This environment is a busy airport in which they're trying to maximize the aircraft moving in and out of the airport in a day. And the air traffic control are having to manage within the constraints of the safety parameters they're set in terms of managing a safe airport. But they're also trying to optimize the performance of the airport and get as many aircraft in and out in a day. What happens if something takes place that means that they can't get an aircraft out on time? It has an impact on the airport through the day. Maybe there's a weather front comes in. What happens in air traffic control is that they're monitoring many, many different variables, and they're trying to make informed decisions on too many pieces of information. Human beings are very good at deciding what the best thing to do is if there's 2 variables or 3 variables. But as soon as you go above 3, the human being is not very capable of making the right decision. This is a very similar problem to one that we see in motor racing, specifically to do with race strategy. Lots and lots of different variables. And through the race, as the race unfolds, the guys on the pit lane have got to decide when to pit stop the car and when to take different actions through the race. How do they do that? Well, they're relying on too many pieces of information. So what we've done is created a tool called Decision Insight, which is watching the race, It's watching from the publicly available data on all of the cars, and it's learning what each of the cars is doing, and learning the performance, the relative performance of all the cars, and it's then predicting ahead what it thinks the likely outcome of the race will be. And by decision insight, what it means is that the operational staff at the race are able to try different things. They're able to say, well, what if I do this? What if I make this decision? What impact will that have on my race outcome? And that's technology that we've developed in Formula One, but applied in this example in an airport. And this technology is being rolled out all over the world in lots of different examples, which I can't even talk about today. So, the McLaren P1 road car. I've talked about going from motorsport into the real world. This is actually an example of going from the automotive, from the real world, back into motorsport. The P1 road car, when it was conceived, the idea was to have a car that could have an unrivaled level of hybrid on the V8 engine, but also be able to operate in full electric mode. When the engineers were developing the vehicle, they knew what they wanted. They knew that they wanted an electric motor that was about this size, and there was nothing out there that met the performance requirements that they had. So this is where McLaren Applied Technologies came in and said, well, okay, what are you looking for? And going through the data, looking at the drive cycles required for the vehicle, it became clear that the reason that nothing existed was because it needed a different way of looking at the problem. What this car needed was an electric motor that could perform a very high continuous power rating on a continuous basis. It's easy to do a hybrid system that's capable of high peak energy, but you're generating a little bit of heat and you can remove that heat over time. This system just needs to be continuously developing that power, and you need to be continuously getting the heat away. So we've got a very unique thermal solution that we developed, and we ended up with a very sophisticated hybrid system for this car. And that attracted the interest of Formula E. At the time, they were developing a new race series. They wanted to launch it with 40 cars, and they needed a powertrain for these electric racing cars. They came to us, and we were able to provide them with an evolution of this system. Instead of providing 170 horsepower as an electric motor on this car, we were providing 270 horsepower in a racing environment. And that system ran on all the cars in the first season, and we've continued to support the series going forwards. I'm delighted to say that going forwards in 2018, we'll be supplying the battery, which is going to be able to run these cars for a full race distance, because of course at the moment, the cars have to stop halfway through the race in order to swap the car for one that's got a full charge of battery. So it's exciting times. So, this is our driver-in-the-loop simulator. I'm going to talk a little bit about this, how it came into being. 20 years ago, we used to have a test team in Formula One and a separate race team. The test team were going to the track tests and just optimizing the car on a continual basis. It wasn't very efficient because they were just relying on running the car round and round the track. So at the same time, we began an R&D project to learn what it took, what the driver was picking up from the motion of the vehicle in order to control it. And what we developed was a driver-in-the-loop simulator that wasn't just able to allow the driver to understand the track that he was going to, but we're also able to evolve and optimize the setup of the car in the virtual world before we went to the track. And this system is so sophisticated now and so high fidelity that we're able to get to 95% of car setup in the virtual world before we take it to the track. What we're doing now is taking this technology and applying it in a road car environment. So all of McLaren Automotive's vehicles are developed in the virtual world, in this environment, before anything's actually made. And this system is one that we're making available outside as well. So in the new year, we'll have a new system, which is an automotive-grade system, and we're able to optimize and develop the vehicle in that virtual world and rapidly develop and achieve the optimal solution before we actually make the car. And finally, a bicycle. So, another mobility device, but one in which we've worked with Specialized and McLaren Applied Technologies. And in this example, we've taken our data-driven design approach. So we've understand what is actually required on a bicycle for it to perform. And working with Specialized, this bicycle, the first bicycle that we worked together on, was 20% lighter and 11% stiffer than the previous bicycle of its type. And it actually won its first competition event that it went to. And we carried on working partnership with Specialized, and we've had 2 new bicycles released in September. So, that's a bit about McLaren and how we work. We're always looking to the future. I'm going to play a video which is the future that may be the future of Formula One. We wonder what will be the future of automobility. And we're excited about working towards applying technologies into the new world of automobility. Thank you for listening.